Hi everyone, my name is Mark Goodacre, sitting in my office at Duke University, and I'm teaching a course on Jesus and the Gospels at the moment, and we inevitably eventually get to one of the most fascinating literary enigmas, which is the question of the secrecy motif in Mark's Gospel. Because in Mark's Gospel, instead of going out and proclaiming his identity boldly, Jesus seems to keep it quiet. In fact, when the demons recognize Jesus, he closes them down. In chapter 1, in one of the very earliest stories in Mark's Gospel, Jesus is in the synagogue at Capernaum, and the demon who's in a man says, "I know who you are, the Holy One of God." And Jesus tells the demon to be silent. And even when you get someone like Peter, the key disciple, when you get someone like Peter kind of getting an inkling finally who Jesus is, he says, "You are the Christ," in chapter 8. Jesus shuts that down as well and says, "Don't tell anybody." Why is this? Why is it that Jesus is surrounded by this hiddenness, this secrecy? It's kind of the opposite of what you might expect. Well, some people think that it's got a historical Jesus explanation. Maybe Jesus is worried about getting mobbed by people. He doesn't want to be a wonder-working Messiah. Other people think it's a kind of political thing, that Jesus doesn't want to be seen as a political military Messiah that's going to come and liberate Jerusalem and Judea with military and cosmic might. Maybe. I'm not quite convinced by those historical Jesus type explanations myself. I'm not saying that there isn't a root in history for some of this material, but I think it cries out to be treated as a literary motif. You see, you can write a gospel without having such a marked secrecy element. It's much less strongly marked in Matthew's gospel, for example. It's less strongly marked in Luke's gospel. And it isn't just the characters in the story who are talking about Jesus as Messiah, with Jesus shutting them down. It's also the narrator says it. The narrator of Mark's gospel basically says that Jesus has to silence people because the demons knew who he was. And one of the things that's going on in Mark is it's kind of like a big cosmic affair, a big cosmic battle almost, where the people in the heavens, the supernatural figures, God, the demons, they know who Jesus is. God tells Jesus who he is in chapter 1 at the baptism. He tells Peter, James, and John who Jesus is at the transfiguration, his beloved son. And the demons know who Jesus is. So at the heavenly level, at the supernatural level, people know who Jesus is, but the characters in the drama don't. And this is why it's such a brilliant literary motif, because it draws the reader in to say, can't you see who this guy is? I think that's what you're supposed to be saying when you're reading Mark's Gospel.